Welcome to Scotland's Coefficient Podcast, the podcast about Scottish football teams in European competition.
Hello and welcome to this week's video. Tonight I'm going to be talking about reconstruction in Scottish football. It's going to be a two-part video, so in the first part I'll go through a brief history of Scottish football and a timeline of some of the change that we've had over the years. I'll be talking about the all-important Scotland's coefficient, but even more importantly, what's coming down the line for the coefficient. I'll go through the requirements that the clubs will have when they're discussing potential change, and then I'll look at the league formats all across Europe to see what's out there, what parts we can take from different leagues, and present some possible options for Scottish football. In part two, I'll go into some other reforms that we could introduce to improve the game, focusing particularly on the revenue distribution in Scottish football. So, let's get on with it. So, part one for ideas for reform in Scottish football. So let's start with a video. What do the SPFL think of possible reconstruction?
How does it have? Explain that. How does it have the?
Well, because you're halving the amount of bigger games. At the moment we've got the potential for 4 Edinburgh derbies, 4 Dundee derbies, 4 Glasgow derbies. You're halving that because you're going once home, once away. So I accept the point in terms of there being more change in terms of the clubs you're facing, but there are real financial ramifications that make a 16-team league very, very difficult. Bigger leagues generally go with bigger populations. And if you look around Europe, there are bigger leagues, absolutely, but it's populations 40, 50, 60 million people. If you look at the populations of countries similar to Scotland, typically it's much smaller league sizes.
So obviously nothing personal there against the SPFL's chief executive, Neil Doncaster. We need to remember that he is essentially just the mouthpiece for the clubs. So whatever the clubs want, it's his remit to deliver. The clubs will always be the ones that vote on it. So if anything happens in Scottish football regarding reconstruction or any other issues that we as fans might not be pleased with, we need to remember that it's our clubs that have voted it through. Neil Doncaster doesn't come up with the ideas and implement them on the club's behalf. It's the other way round. So, an agenda for the videos. The first part, we're going to go through a history of Scottish football, Scotland's coefficient, the requirements the clubs will have when they're discussing change, comparisons of league formats all across Europe to therefore present some possible Scottish options. And there'll be loads of others out there. These are just some that I think could work based on what else is out there. And part two, out tomorrow night, it's going to be a very detailed look at the finances in Scottish football, how we distribute the money and how it's unfair and how it could be improved, as well as some other proposed reforms to try and improve the game up here. So, the number of teams in Scottish football history. The first league season was 134 years ago in 1890. We actually started with 11 teams, so an odd number. There's only been 128 seasons though, because the league was officially stopped during the Second World War. So there was regional divisions where most of the teams were in, but there was no official league. So all the leagues won and all the cups won during the Second World War do not count, much to the dismay of Rangers fans because they were the dominant force in the Second World War time. So the number of teams we've had loads of different numbers. 10, 11, as I mentioned, 12, 14, 16, 18, even as high as 20 and 22, which seems mad for a country of our size. 32 seasons with 12 teams, and this 25-year stretch is the longest stretch we've gone in Scottish football history without changing the format of the leagues. And indeed, there's been 20 separate reconstructions where we've changed the number of the teams or how the league formats over the years. And we're now nearing a halfway point. Of the 128 seasons, 63 of them have had 12 teams or less, and 65 of them have had 14 or more. So it's clear that over the history of Scottish football, we've never quite been sure what the right number is or what brings the best level of football to the country. So before I move on, I'm just going to insert the paywall here. So for everyone that is a paid subscriber, thanks very much. bear with me for 30 seconds while I appeal to everyone that's not. So I believe that the work I put out on the internet is of value. You've told me it's of value. The people on Twitter have said that they love my page. So I'm trying to earn some pocket money to pay me for the work that I'm doing. I think I'm worth it, and I've put it out as the cheapest possible level that Substack allows. So I'm definitely the cheapest page on Substack. You can't beat the price, and it's possibly the cheapest fan media in Scotland. So you don't pay for every article or every video. It's a one-off payment, and that gets you access to everything I'm going to do in the next year and everything I've done in the past. So the best value is 20 quid for the year. Works out about 166 if you average it over the year, and then you don't have to think about it till next year. And if you think it's been worthwhile, you subscribe again, and if you don't, you unsubscribe. Similarly, I don't want to be taking money that I don't feel I deserve. So if you sign up, don't think it's worthwhile, then message me your email address and I'll give you a full refund, because I believe in what I'm doing, putting the work out there. It's the cheapest price I can make it. It's up to you if you want to join. Okay, on with the rest of the video. An interesting